Today we've got this K2 EMF meter, and in a video coming up on The Strangest, you're gonna see this thing finding fucking ghosts. Ethan put a clip of this on Discord, and I instantly told him, I said, hey man, I gotta know how this thing fucking works. Can I take yours apart? Can I see how, what makes it go? He says, it's not mine, belongs to the people we do it. I said, well, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking buy one. We'll take it apart, and then when we're done, after we see how it works, I'll just give it to you. I don't have no use for it. So that's what we're gonna do. There's two kinds of these. There's a made in the USA one and a made in China one. If you look at the schematic for the made in the USA and the made in China one, the components are exactly the same. Supposedly the China one is all surface mount components, but the US one uses soldered in place PCB parts. Yeah, so let's get into it. All right, let's get this thing open. And you can tell there's no glass fiber reinforcing or anything, and it just feels like it's just straight ABS plastic. All right, so we got a 9-volt battery, got this thing. This is obviously gonna be what breaks first, this button. I don't know if you can see that, but holy fuck. Looks like if you got too evil with that, it'd just break right off. You see a fucking ghost and you mash the shit out of that thing and it just goes right through and snaps off. Anyway, so here's the PCB, and not anything remarkable to look at here, but talking about the USA versus the China made one, this one is definitely made in China, but if you look at it, everything on it, I don't know if you can see that, is flow soldered surface mount components. So like the made in USA one would have larger components actually soldered in place, like with through holes. This is all surface mount. So of the different variants of these things, we got some different projects and things that have been started on here, but if you look at this, you'll see how these are through hole components that they're larger. They're not, everything on this is surface mounted to the board. Everything on this is soldered in place, like with pigtails and through holes and hand soldered. That is literally the difference. This is not a K2 EMF meter. This is a K2 EMF meter, but this one is made in China. These LEDs on this one are held on with these straw-looking things. On the made in US one, it's got a bar that these are all soldered in place with and held onto the board. But what's interesting enough, you would think that this would be cheaper. If you look, it's got a Texas Instruments LM324 quad acting amplifier on it right here. And the way this works is this takes this quadruple acting amplifier and finds it, like you feed it an input signal through an inductor or a coil, and it takes that signal and amplifies it, magnifies it into a way so that it can put that power into something else. So in this case, it's picking up what it perceives to be electromagnetic field, and it outputs that through the back end of the amplifier into these different LEDs, being what the range is. So each of these LEDs, if you look, has a resistor in place in front of the LED of different values. You would have the same output going to each of these LEDs, but these resistors that are in place in front of them would dictate what LED comes on at what range. Now in looking, you don't see anything that would be an antenna for the inductor or a coil. But if you look on the back right here, they actually have put the antenna in the PCB in the form of these traces. And there looks to be 4 loops, 4 coils on board in the PCB. It goes in here and comes out there. And the thing of it is this is not that big of a coil. You could actually unsolder this and solder in a much larger coil, and this would be far more sensitive. So how does this thing work? It like I said, you have an inductor, picks up an electromagnetic field, amplifies a signal, and sends it to an LED of a varying degree of resistance to go up as the signal increases. But does the thing fucking work? You know, if you're trying to find ghosts, you want something that's going to work. You don't want to go on a ghost hunting expedition and be let down by some cheaply made sack of shit. So does it work? Yeah, it does work. But the validity of it for ghost hunting, I'm not so sure of. It likes motors, it likes lights, incandescents, CFLs, anything with a motor. And we're gonna show you that now. It's fairly sensitive. It'll pick up like a compressor in a fridge or things like that. But it does work. I'm just not so sure on the ghost hunting end of it, but we'll see. And you know, that's if ghosts emit electromagnetic frequency anyway. So let's see what it will pick up. All right, so what we've got here is a 16,000 watt generator. And if anything can make this thing go nuts on an electromagnetic field, it should be this. The way a generator works is you have a rotor that rotates inside of a stator, and that stator has magnets on the outside of it, and a voltage is inducted through the exciter windings, and that is how electricity is generated. So this is a giant electromagnet in a sense. So this should set it off if anything will. So let's get this thing fired up. Okay, so let's see if this can pick up the frequency being emitted by this generator. Oh yeah. Yep, she's pegged right the fuck out there. Just to show you, we'll go over here and see there's nothing here. We'll go back over to the generator. Yeah. So does it pick up EMF? Yeah, it does. Does it pick up anything really with a magnetic field? Yeah, it does. Does it find ghosts? That's up to you. I'll leave that up to Ethan and the rest of them. But as far as I'm concerned with this thing, you know, this is fucking $60 if you buy the US one, and in this case this is $30. There is like $5, maybe $6 worth of electrical components on this thing. And so my opinion of it is, you know the old saying, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy enough to fucking solder together $6 worth of horse shit and find a goddamn ghost in your house. That's it. See you next time.